So let's start at the very beginning. How did you get into music and what attracted you to the drums?
All right. It was 1975, I think. No, I think I'm pretty sure. It was 1975 when 2 years before, from 73, I started, buying records and listening to all this kind of music that I liked, like Santana and like Led Zeppelin and all this, uh, music that I really enjoyed, and I thought it was really magic to my psychosynthesis. And anyway, I had the opportunity to go to the Reading Festival. I was 15 years old, but I had the opportunity to go there. I traveled with Interrail card, this card that for students go around Europe. And so I went to England to Reading Festival, and this was it. It was like a cultural shock for me, standing there for 3 days and listening to all these giants like Yes, like Lou Reed, like Usbonas, and maybe 30 or 40 bands. It's not very easy to remember everything. Heavy Metal Kids, and it's fantastic. It was Hawkwind and all this stuff, UFO and Soft Machine, and uh, giants. So this was it. I went back in Thessaloniki and I started practicing drums because I noticed that this was the instrument for me. I had the guitar also playing a little bit, but drums was something special for me. So I started playing, and after 2 or 3 years, I started involving with bands here in Thessaloniki and playing with people, and that's how it all began.
So who was your favorite band that you saw at Reading? I mean, you mentioned Hawkwind and Yes and Lou Reed. There's some pretty impressive names. Who was the highlight?
All these bands, they were amazing, man. I mean, I was into Yes, and I was into Isbonas, and I was into Hawkwind and all this. But there were and Soft Machine also was very very one of my favorites. I used to listen to this jazz rock style, this thing. So I really enjoyed everything.
According to what I can see, you were born in 1960, which is probably the decade that the pop scene in Greece and the kind of alternative music scene in Greece really started with labels like Pan Vox and bands like Pole and Aphrodite's Child. So, I mean, I realize you were still very young at the time, but how much of an influence were these bands for you?
It was a big influence. All this wave of music back then, and maybe because I have and older friends than me. I mean, I'm 60 now, but my friends are almost like 70 or something. So they were into it, and they keep telling me stories about back then. But also, I was, let's say, 11 or 12 years ago, 71, 72. It was a good year to listen to the Paul, as you said, to Socrates Drank the Conium, and bands like, like Exadactylos and Poulikakos, and even Makedonomachi and Fratelli, which was the band that Terry Papadinas was playing in the beginning of his career. Yes,
Fratelli, I don't know that one. I have to look it up.
you should. You should. I think the other members of Fratelli, except Terry Papadinas, was Nikos Papazoglou, the singer, you know, and Yannis Kantsos, who was the second guitarist in Makedonomachi also, and probably Antoniadis. I don't remember the small name, the first name. Antoniadis was the singer, but yeah, you should check this band, Fratellis.
I know there are plenty of bars and clubs in Thessaloniki that you can play in these days, but what was the scene like in Greece when you were growing up in the 70s?
There were many discos at the moment at this time. Discos, you know, with uh, by the meaning of a discotheque, you know, usually playing disco music of the 70s. But the owners used to invite bands and play in there. So we had the chance to see many good bands there. You know, I remember a band called Plus One, which was a cover band with Pantelis Deligiannidis, a very famous guitarist, you know, here in Greece. He passed away, unfortunately, you know, like most of them. Uh, I mean, most of the people we talk because I don't know. And anyway, and discos were inviting bands. So I used to see many rock bands in discotheques. You know, no, it was the Disco Lara, and it was the Disco Marco Polo, and it was, you know, all these downtown Thessaloniki discos uh, used to used to invite bands. I even remember myself in my first steps. We played in a disco called Petaluda, I think, and it was with the old friend of mine, guitarist Foko Bouklis, who is a really good guitarist. And anyway, you should check him also. Foko Bouklis is he's a very good guitarist. I will send you with the first chance stuff and names to listen to, because I believe that this what you do, that you know, you search through all these music channels that involved in Greece, Thessaloniki, Athens, Larissa, all these, you know, cities and towns, is very important. It's a really it's a true gem finding all this kind of music and music scenes. Yes.
Do you remember your own first gig? Were you nervous? I mean, who was it with? What can you tell us? What do you remember?
Yeah, I remember very well. I remember very well. I will never forget it. I was nervous, and now I tell you this, I feel the, you know, the goosebumps, or what they say when you know, your hair is going up. Uh, I even now, I mean, not the last year because we don't play gigs because of the COVID, but every time we play, I feel nervous. It's something that never passed, you know, never went away. So anyway, it was 1977, I think, that we played with a band a priori in their first steps before they became a jazz rock outfit. We played, you know, kind of pop stuff with Greek lyrics, and we played in a festival. So this was the first time I ever played. And also, maybe before of this, few months ago, it was with another band we played called Maya, with other friends and musicians, and it was a festival. Yeah. Oh, anyway, it was back then, 76 to 77.
The Greek music scene is not very well documented, but from the research I have done, the first recording that you played on with was with Alexandros Perros in 1991, which seems very late. Did you play on any other records before Alexandros Perros?
No. It was the first recording, right. With Alexandros Perros, we did the first recording. It was in a parallel act that I was with another band, The Fake, and but with Perros was the first recording with Alligator Walk and all this album. It was the first recording. Yes.
In 1990, 1991, you were 30 years old or so. So that seems very late to me. Why did it take so long for you to finally make a recording with a band?
Yeah, this is a good question. But I think that the answer is, yeah, now that I'm thinking of it, it must be because maybe because we didn't. I mean, I didn't involve with musicians who had stuff of their own to make a recording. We did covers and stuff like this. You know, we played in bars and places, but we didn't have the material to go down and make a recording. So the first chance was with Alexandros Perros, and then others and others. But it was the first, yes.
You were not the original drummer with Alexandros Perros. You started with Alexandros Perros from the third album. So, how did you end up joining him? And had you heard his music before you joined?
Of course, I was a fan of them. I was going and see them playing live in a small basement, as I said to you, in a disco, because these were the places where you could go and see, attend a live concert and stuff like this. And I went to a basement, I remember, and and saw them many times, and I was a fan of the band. Um, so I don't know. I don't remember what happened to the second drummer, Petros. Maybe he had to leave the Thessaloniki and go to Crete or something. I'm not sure. I don't remember. So Petros asked me to play with them, but it was not the first time we play with Petros. With Petros, we used to play in the 80s also, late 80s, 84 or something, but and then he didn't have the material to go and make a recording. After some years, he had the material, but I knew him before. It is a small town, Thessaloniki, and all the musicians here we know each other. You know how it goes.
Do you remember how you ended up joining the band? Did he call you? Did you call him? How did it all come about?
Probably, I don't remember exactly. Probably he asked me to join because, as I said to you, we played in the past. So he liked my drumming. So he said to me, "Why don't you come and start playing with us?"
Okay.
And then yes, we are close friends with the first drummer also, Yotis Bangalas. He's also a very close friend of mine, the first drummer who played with Peros, and with Petros, the second drummer. We're friends. It's
Well,
a
as you
small
say,
city.
yeah,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
Thessaloniki, a small city. Yeah, I understand.
exactly. Yeah.
And
So
in 2019, so just 2 years ago now, Alexandros and the Lone Stars, they released the first album in 15 years, which you also played on. So 15
yes.
years is a long time between
Oh,
records.
yes, but these 15 years are not blank. There are other albums we did with Peros. Since the first album of, the third album of Alexandros Peros, but the first with me, then we did another one, and then we did another one. So it's three albums after Alligator Walk. And then I was with Papadina, so I didn't have the time, and I left the band. And Tassos Economou went to the band, but they did another album, and then we did another. So it must be five albums in this space.
Okay, I didn't notice that. I'll have to note that down. I'll have to look at them. So during the last year that everything has stopped, who have you been talking with? Have you been making any plans?
Uh, yes, there is a band that we play in the last 2 years, the Aska Soul Quartet, with George Athanas playing bass and singing, and George Seremetis playing guitar. Uh, um, I don't know if you know if you have noticed this band. We did and the recording also, and you can find it in Bandcamp. 5 songs, the
Okay.
Aska Soul Quartet. So these are the guys that we are playing together the last 2 years, and we are planning to still go do this after the pandemic. We have 5 more songs that we are rehearsing, and we are ready to go to the studio and write them down whenever we are ready.
Now, the way people record, the recording process has changed a lot in the last 20 years, 30 years, or whatever the case may be. So, are you the type of person, do you prefer being in a studio? I know you've done some home recording. Do you enjoy doing home recordings? What do you prefer?
I think it's more professional. The sound, the everything around a recording. If you do it in a studio, it's more professional because there are mics all over, taking the small details they have to take, and you can hear your drums and everything, and all the music you can hear, and the small details, and it's really good. Now, if you're forced to stay home and make a recording, this is okay, but it's not the best. The last months we did 2 or 3 songs, um, cover songs. There are videos also you can see in YouTube. I will send it to you. So
Please.
yes, of course, all this stuff I can send it to you. And we did these videos playing by ourselves alone at our homes, and then somebody took it in his studio and composed it, you, and you can see what was the output. But it's not the same when you're in the studio and playing with other guys and talking with them and all this, playing live. Even in the studio we used to play live, especially the bass and the drums. they we try to to catch the moment and be there. So then the guitarist has to go, maybe, or the singers, all this.
Let's go back a couple of steps. So we said that in 2019, Alexandros Perros and the Lone Stars released another album, the first one in a while. So what was it like going back into the studio again with the band?
Um, it was fun. It was fun because before going to the studio, we were making the rehearsals in the studio. Me and my wife have here in Thessaloniki in a music school anyway, and we played there and we rehearsed the songs, and we were ready to make the recording. So it was really fun. It was really fun. And then we went to the studio and we played all the songs, and it was really fun.
Now, as well as being involved with Alexandros Perros, you were also involved with plenty of other acts over your career as well. And probably the best known out of those acts is Blair. Now, you played on the second album with Blair, so again, you joined the band a little bit later on. What was it like joining a band such as Blair, who had already had some success?
Yeah, this thing with Blair was, um, yeah, it's true. I felt that I went to this band. Of course, I knew George Papapostoulou, the guy who did the whole band from the beginning. I knew him from years ago. We played in other bands together. He even played with a fake, and I played with Toyon, another band that he used to play with in the 80s. Anyway, and I went there and I saw that it was this, as you say, it was a ready band. It was well known, it was popular. We went to play in concerts, and people were, many people there knew the songs and dancing and all this, and it was a very good feeling, of course. It was a very good feeling because when I went to Ble, it must have been around 2002 or 2003, something like this. Ble started 1997, I think, right? So they had 5 years, and these 5 years were very productive. Of course, after 2002, they did more albums and more singles, but it was a ready field, everything was very cool. Yeah, and it was a very good feeling. And it's still a very good feeling because whenever there is something we can do all together, we go and play. I mean, in August, August or it was June, I think it was June or July anyway, not August. We played in Milos, a place here in Thessaloniki. Uh, it was a small, let's say, a small dialima, a small,
Right.
you know, okay, from a pandemic. So we had the chance to go and play there, and we did, and it was fun, and it was very cool. And I think that will be again in the past. Yes,
Cool,
yeah.
cool.
Blay is another chapter because it's as you said, very popular, very well known, famous, and all over Greece, maybe all over other places like Australia and like Europe and like America, maybe.
Over the years, Blair have had quite a number of lineup changes. So, what's it like for yourself to play in a band with that's had so many lineup changes over the years?
Um, Listen, Chris, to be honest, since 2002, I went to the band. The only person changed was the guitarist then. I mean, he changed in 2003. Came another one who did stay until today.
Okay.
And then in 2010, the keyboard player changed. The
Okay.
others are the same.
Uh-huh.
Natasha, Natasha is from day one. And Chris Claros, the bass player, he was before me. And it was only two members, and this happened in 2003 and 2010. That's it. Maybe it used to change a lot until 2002, but after 2002, it didn't change so much, I
They
think.
had to wait for you to join the band before everything settled down.
Maybe. I didn't say that, but maybe. It was a coincidence, let's say. Yes, yes.
One of the bands that I'm most interested in that you played with was Tea for Trouble, who recorded the first album, which was recorded in 1994, but did not get released until 2 months ago. How did this band come together, and why did it take 25 years for this record to get released?
This record is not released yet anyway, because it's only in Bandcamp. We didn't find some record company because it's very tough seasons, and who can take the record and release it. Anyway, it took so long because Terry Papadinas was very, very, one of a kind person, and he was ready to when we were recording the songs, and when we were almost done with the recordings, it was a record company here in Thessaloniki that was ready to take it and release it. But something happened between Terry and the owner of the company, and then this didn't happen. Anyway, it's small details. And afterwards, um, the band played a little while, but then we disbanded. So the material was on the air, and nobody could do anything. So that's why after all these years, We said with George Kostopoulos, the bass player that plays in the recordings, and a close friend of also, we said, George, let's try and release it. I mean, let's give the people the chance to listen to this beautiful music, because I think it's everybody who listened to it liked it, liked this stuff, you know. And so we said,
In the documentary, which was done quite a few years ago now about Terry, it seems he had a reputation as being difficult to work with. Is that a fair description? And how did you like working with him?
he was very much. Yes, he was. I love the guy, and God rest his soul
Yeah.
wherever he is. But he was a very difficult character, and not easy to work with. And I'm sure that you will not find any musician who played with him that will tell something else than this. But anyway, you know, when we played music, it was fantastic. It was like traveling with a starship or something, you know, and all this. But he was very difficult to deal with. That's why, and the record company stopped the this deal, and they did not release the album.
Did you know about Terry's reputation before you started working with him?
Yes, I heard few things here and there, but then I said to myself, okay, so what? Let's play music, and music is overall. You know, we don't care so much about other things. What is he doing? As he used to say, he said, no matter if you're chasing mouses or things after we are here and play, we play here, and then you go do what you like. And that's what I thought also, you know. we
Okay.
should play we should play our music, and then he was free to do whatever he liked in his life. Of course, sometimes, because playing music, it's not only 1 hour or half an hour, it's all the thing around it. It's the social life you live with this. So this was affecting that, you know, that he was difficult. But anyway, it was fun playing with Terry.
So, what are some of the good memories, and what are some of the perhaps not so good memories about working with Terry?
Good memories are when we played, and as I said to you, you could close your eyes, and you could feel that you're traveling with a starship, you know, and the music was magic, and everything was magic, and these are good memories, and all the fun, because he had a very good sense of humor, Terry, you know. And whenever we traveled to go to places and play here and there, we did very jokes and all this stuff, and it was a big laugh, man. And I will never forget it. It was really cool. The bad moments was whenever, you know, he was drunk, let's say, or under the influence of other things. And I only remember good things after all these years. And I listen to the music, and I say, this is a really good work. And I hope many people will listen to it and enjoy it, you know.
So, everything that has been released on Bandcamp with Tea for Trouble, is that everything? Can we expect any further recordings to be released?
No, no, no. This is everything. This is everything. It's a 15 songs we did with Terry and George Kostopoulos, the bass guitarist. These 15 songs, and maybe there are some extras, but not extras like we did a few recordings in another studio with two drummers. It was Yotis Bangalas, the first drummer of Alexandros Perros, by the way, and me playing together. There are 2 or 3 songs, so this should be as extras in the in the already existing 15 songs that we did.
Okay, so these three songs, are you planning on releasing those also?
Yes, yes, of course, yes. In the very soon future, yes. There is also a video that we did. One of these three songs. It's the song "Strange How My Life Changed," but we did it as instrumental with two drummers, and we did a video. You can see this in YouTube. I will
Cool.
send you the link also. You know, it's not
Abs-
a yes, it's a video. I mean, very simple video, but you can listen the difference of the music. You know. Hmm.
so what's it like playing with another drummer? Do you have to coordinate and pre-plan who's going to play what? Do you have to pre-plan your parts, or does it all fit quite naturally?
It's a very nice and strong experience, and especially with Yotis that we play together. We know each other. The play one knows the place what the other wants to play. So it's like one fits the gap of the other. You know, we don't try to overplay one over the other, but to leave space. And this was how we did it back then. We didn't do that for a long time. We only did that for 2 or 3 months, maybe. We played also in a live concert in Milos.
I was going to ask actually, did the band ever play live?
Yes, yes, we played, and there is a document. We have this recorded. I can send you also this in your mail. It's not out. It's not released. Maybe it's not worth it all. You know, the sound is not so
Perfect.
good everywhere, but it's a good document.
You also recently released an album by your band, The Fake, where, as well as playing the drums, you sing on some songs as well. And it's kind of a garage rock with a horn section. Are these old recordings or are these recent recordings?
These are also old recordings. We did these recordings a few months after we did the recordings with Terry Papadinas. I mean,
Okay, so
so 1994 it was, yes. We did this back then. But, and as you said before, why you didn't release it yet? Because nobody cared. This is it, you know, it's very simple. And now it's, we say this, let's put this music, you know, in Bandcamp or whenever in YouTube with videos, and let's uh, let it let it be listened, you know.
you also work in the music conservatory in Thessaloniki, and I imagine this is very different to working in a rock and roll band. So, what work do you do exactly at the conservatory, and what attracted you to the conservatory? What made you think I'd like to join?
There are many kids that want to learn drums, and I said, okay, I'll try and see if I can show the children how to play the drums. In the beginning, I said, okay, I'll try. If I don't succeed, you know, then I will let it, and I will say, let it go. It's not for you. But after, I mean, it must be now around 15 years or something that and I saw kids from 7 years old growing up to 17 and 20 years old and really like music, and they became good drummers no matter if they did something in music, because um, the barriers are very, it's not so easy to do many things here in Greece and all over, maybe anyway. So, but the satisfaction that I feel that okay, I gave the opportunity this kid to learn the drums, and also uh, not only the drums but the whole history around rock, and uh, how to communicate with people, and how to, it's, it's not only playing the drums, it's all the things around it. So I kind of like it, and I said, yeah, I can do that. So I still do that.
And again, did you approach the conservatory yourself, or did they approach you? How did it come together?
This was a little bit of joke, because the conservatory owner is my wife. So she said to me, "Why don't you come and teach here?" I say, "Okay, why not?"
I said earlier that you have worked with many other bands in your career, but we haven't gone into too much detail about all of them, aside from Terry Papadinas and Blep. So, can you tell us about some of the other projects that you have been involved with in the past, and what have been some of your favorites?
I think that everything had something to teach me and to give me the joy of play with it. And a priori, as I said to you, maybe it was a little bit. It was in the beginning. It was in their face of they were pop, before jazz, but it was okay. I loved it. I loved the way we played with these guys, and also, as you said, with Blair, of course, it's something, popular and all this. And we became very close friends with the other players there with Blair. Also, the bass player, Chris Claros, used to play with me in the fake band we had in this group, the Fag, and we also played sometimes with Papadinas. As I said to you, it's a small city, and we are all turning around and play here and there. But anyway, everything, every band was something that I could take, I mean, something good from there.
Well, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it. Is there anything else that you would like to say? Is there anything that I haven't asked you about your career that you would just like to mention?
The only thing I want to say is I wish all the musicians all over the world to let all this bad time that we still have here in Greece and maybe in Europe, and you seem that you don't have it in Australia. And I wish all the musicians to let it behind as a bad dream, and then let's start all over again and play music, because it's something that it's very important for the souls and the minds of the people. This is the only thing I wish, because it we missed it very much, Chris. We missed it. We cannot play music with people, and this is something that it's we never learn to live like this. I hope this goes behind, and we never face it again in our lives.